What happens when a music legend sits down for what should be a simple interview only to find herself under attack by the very people who invited her on the show? In less than a minute, a single comment turned what started as a friendly conversation into one of the most explosive moments in daytime television history. Chaka Khan walked onto the View set that morning, expecting to talk about her incredible career, her music, and her legacy. Instead, she became the eye of a storm no one saw coming. The Queen of Funk, a woman who has given the world decades of unforgettable music, was about to face something she never anticipated: disrespect on live television. The interview began normally. Shaka took her seat at the table, smiling at the audience as they cheered. Whoopi Goldberg sat center, Joy Behar to her left with Sunny host and Sarah N rounding out the panel. The energy felt warm, the cameras rolling, everything seemingly perfect. Whoopi opened with what sounded like a compliment. "Shaka, you've had such an amazing career. Truly, how do you keep going at your age?" The audience chuckled lightly. Shaka's smile faltered for a heartbeat, but she recovered with grace. "I love what I do. Music is my passion. Age is just a number when you're doing what you love." Joy Behar jumped in. "Seriously, Shaka, a lot of singers from your era have retired or stopped touring. Do you ever think about, hanging it up?" Shaka shifted in her seat, expression tightening. "Hanging it up? No, I'm still selling out shows. My fans still want to hear me sing. Why would I stop?" Sunny host tried to steer the conversation elsewhere. "Let's talk about your new project. You've been working on some new music, right?" Shaka's posture relaxed slightly. "Yes, I've been in the studio. Really excited about this new material. Music has evolved so much and I want to show people I can still create something relevant and powerful." But Whoopi wasn't ready to move on. She leaned forward and the room fell silent. "Relevant, Shaka? Do you really think people care about new music from someone like you? I mean, you're a legend and all, but your time was the 70s and 80s. This is a different world now." The audience gasped. Even the other hosts shifted uncomfortably. Sarah N glanced at her notes, clearly unprepared for this. Joy Behar raised an eyebrow but stayed quiet. Shaka sat up straighter, voice calm but firm. "Someone like me. What does that mean exactly, Whoopi?" Whoopi shrugged. "Casual. You know what I mean. The music industry has changed. Young people listen to completely different stuff now. They don't know who you are. They don't care about funk or soul like they used to. Maybe it's time to accept that your moment has passed." The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Shaka stared at Whoopi, a mixture of shock and anger in her eyes. "My moment has passed. I've won 10 Grammy Awards. I've sold millions of records. I've influenced countless artists making music today. Artists young people love who've sampled my songs, covered my tracks, spoken about how I inspired them. No, Whoopi. My moment has not passed." Joy Behar tried to intervene. "Shaka, I think what Whoopi is trying to say." Shaka held up a hand. "No, let her finish. Right now. It feels like she invited me on this show just to disrespect me on national television." Whoopi leaned back, arms crossed. "I'm not disrespecting you. I'm being honest. That's what we do here. Real conversations. If you can't handle honest questions, maybe you shouldn't be here." The audience fell silent. Shock, anger, disbelief. Everyone was watching history unfold. Sarah N finally spoke, her voice soft. "Shaka, we are all huge fans of yours." Shaka shook her head, lips tight, eyes flashing with fury. She wasn't here for flattery. She was here for respect. Hint. She wasn't going to let anyone undermine her legacy asterisk. "I think there might be some misunderstanding here," Sarah began cautiously. But Shaka Khan wasn't having it. She spun toward Sarah, voice steady but sharp. "A misunderstanding. She just told me nobody cares about my music anymore," Shaka said, her eyes flashing. "She said, my moment has passed. She asked why I don't just give up. How is that a misunderstanding?" Sunny host nodded. Shaka has a point. Those comments were harsh. Whoopi rolled her eyes. "Oh, come on. Everyone's so sensitive now. I asked a legitimate question about staying relevant in a changing industry. That's not harsh. That's reality. Shaka's voice rose slightly, still composed, but cutting through the tension. You want to talk about reality? The reality is, I'm still here. I'm still creating. I'm still performing. I came here as a guest with respect for this show. And instead of celebrating what I've accomplished, you're trying to tear me down. Joy Behar raised her hands, attempting to calm things. Let's all just take a breath. We can move on. But Whoopi leaned forward, her words igniting the room. Maybe the problem is that you can't accept the world has moved on without you. Your music was great for its time, but that time is over. People want something new, fresh, not stuck in the past. The audience erupted. Some booed. Others shouted. Producers fidgeted nervously. Sarah Haynes looked ready to disappear under the table. Sunny Host shook her head. Joy Behar buried her face in her hands. Chaka rose from her seat, calm, powerful, and unshakable. She removed her microphone, placing it deliberately on the table. I came here today as a guest. With respect for this show, for everyone on this panel, but I will not sit here and be insulted. I will not let anyone tell me my life's work doesn't matter. I will not be disrespected like this. Whoopi threw her hands in the air. Oh, here we go. Everyone's always so offended. I can't say anything without someone getting upset. Shaka fixed her gaze on Whoopi. This isn't about being offended. It's about respect. You don't invite someone onto your show and attack them. You don't tell a legendary artist their time is up. You don't try to make someone feel small just because you can. Sunny Host stepped forward. Shaka, please. We don't want you to leave like this. I appreciate that, Sunny. Shaka said, already moving toward the edge of the set. But I cannot stay. This was supposed to be a conversation. Instead, it turned ugly. I have too much respect for myself to sit here and take this. Joy Behar called after her. Shaka, we are all fans. This got out of hand. Shaka paused, turned back, her voice cutting through the studio. Some of you might be fans, but when you sit at a table and let someone treat a guest like this, you're part of the problem, too. The audience leaped to their feet. Cheers and shouts filled the room. Some yelled support for Shaka, others at Whoopi. Chaos buzzed through the studio. Whoopi stood now, visibly irritated. Fine, walk off, but don't act like you're the victim. I ask tough questions. That's my job. Shaka stopped mid-step, spinning toward her. Tough questions. Is that what you call it? A tough question would be asking me about the challenges I've faced, how I've adapted in this industry. What you did was humiliate me. There's a difference. And if you can't see it, you have no business hosting a show like this. Sarah N., visibly shaken, spoke softly but firmly. She's right. That was too far. Whoopi glared. Excuse me. Whose side are you on? I'm on the side of treating our guests with respect, Sarah said. Shaka Khan is a legend. She deserves better than what just happened here. Joy Behar nodded, her expression firm. I have to say, Whoopi, I think you crossed a line. We can have tough conversations without being cruel. Whoopi looked around the table, incredulous. Are you serious right now? I'm the one who keeps it real on this show. I ask the questions nobody else will ask. And now you're all turning on me. Sunny Host leaned in, her tone calm but resolute. Keeping it real doesn't mean tearing someone down. There's a way to be honest without being cruel. The audience murmured, some cheering in agreement. Chaka remained at the edge of the set, tears in her eyes, but these were tears of anger and frustration, not defeat. She held her head high, radiating dignity. Whoopi jabbed a finger at her. So now you want an apology. Is that it? You want me to say I'm sorry for asking you real questions? Shaka's voice was steady, unwavering. I don't want anything from you. I came here for a conversation about my music, my life, my work. But you turned this into something else. You made it about proving a point at my expense. I don't want your apology. I just want to leave. A producer rushed onto the set, whispering urgently to Whoopi, who waved him off dismissively. The cameras kept rolling, broadcasting every 10-second live to millions of viewers. Joy Behar tried one last time. Shaka, if you sit back down, we can start fresh. We can talk about your new music, your tour, everything amazing you've been doing. Shaka shook her head, resolute. I appreciate that, Joy, but the damage is done. I cannot pretend the last 10 minutes didn't happen. I've been in this business for over 50 years. I've handled every challenge imaginable, but I have never been on a show where the host actively tried to make me feel like I don't matter. The audience was silent, captivated. Every eye was on Shaka as she took a slow, deliberate step toward the exit. Her posture regal, her expression unbroken. The audience rose to their feet, giving Shaka Khan a thunderous standing ovation. Cheers, applause, even tears rippled through the crowd. Support for the Queen of Funk was immediate, overwhelming, and unmistakably clear. Whoopi Goldberg slumped back in her chair, arms crossed, exasperation written all over her face. This is ridiculous, she muttered. Everyone's being so dramatic. Sunani host shot her a look of disbelief. Dramatic? You just told a woman her time is over. That people don't care about her music anymore. How did you expect her to react? Sarah Haynes added voice tight with embarrassment. I'm honestly ashamed right now. This isn't what our show is supposed to be about. Opie threw her hands up. Unbelievable. I'm the bad guy now. I've hosted this show for years, interviewed thousands of people, and one person gets upset, and suddenly, it's all my fault. Meanwhile, Shaka Khan walked steadily toward the exit, her head high, her composure unbroken. As she reached the edge of the set, she paused and turned to the cameras. Her voice strong and commanding. To anyone watching this, remember your worth. Never let anyone make you feel like you don't matter. Never let anyone tell you your best days are behind you. And never accept disrespect, no matter who delivers it or from what platform. The audience erupted again, standing, clapping, cheering as loud as they could. It was clear who had earned their respect. Chaka had stood her ground and walked away with her dignity intact. Whoopi sipped her coffee, refusing to meet anyone's eyes. Joy Behar and Sunani host exchanged concerned glances. Sarah Haynes stared at her hands pale and unsettled. Backstage, producers rushed about, some apologizing to Shaka, some trying to coax her back, some simply expressing admiration for her poise. But Shaka had made her decision. She would not return. Not to Whoopi, not to anyone who disrespected her. During the commercial break, tension crackled at the table. Joy leaned toward Whoopi, speaking quietly, but Whoopi dismissed her with a wave. Sunny scrolled through her phone, likely checking social media reactions, while Sarah sat frozen, wishing the floor would swallow her whole. When the show returned from commercial, the panel looked visibly shaken. Whoopi addressed the audience. Well, that was intense. Shaka has decided to leave the show. We wish her well. That was it. No apology, no acknowledgement, no accountability for the words that had sparked the explosion. Just a cold, brief dismissal. Joy tried to move things forward. Let's go to our next segment. But the audience wasn't ready. Shouts of "You were wrong, Whoopi. And Shaka deserves respect" filled the studio. The support for Shaka and the backlash against Whoopi was impossible to ignore. Sunny stepped forward, addressing the audience directly. Let's be clear, Chaka is an incredible artist. She's given us decades of groundbreaking music and deserves our respect. The crowd erupted into applause again. Sarah Haynes nodded in agreement. Absolutely. She is and always will be a legend. Whoopi said nothing. Her expression closed, defensive and unrepentant. In her mind, she had only asked tough questions. To everyone else, she had crossed a line. The rest of the show limped on. Conversation felt forced. Laughter fell flat. Energy drained from the studio. Even Joy's attempts at humor couldn't mask the tension. Sunny and Sarah contributed quietly, their enthusiasm muted. Whoopi remained largely silent, disinterested in repairing the fractured atmosphere. The cameras kept rolling, capturing a moment that would be replayed and debated for years. A legendary artist standing up, walking away, and reclaiming her dignity in front of the world. Asterisk. What should have been a celebration of an iconic artist had spiraled into a disaster. What should have been a warm, friendly conversation had become a confrontation. What should have been a routine episode of The View had become one of the most talked about moments in the show's history. Aka Khan's decision to walk off the set wasn't about drama or difficulty. It was about self-respect. It was about refusing treatment that was beneath her. About drawing a line and saying, "This is not okay." In doing so, she displayed incredible strength and dignity. The contrast between Shaka and Whoopi Goldberg could not have been starker. Shaka remained composed under attacks, speaking clearly, firmly, and without losing control. She made her point without insults or pettiness, standing up for herself with grace. Whoopi, in contrast, came across as dismissive, condescending, and unwilling to acknowledge any wrongdoing. Her comments were harsh and unnecessary, and her refusal to take responsibility only escalated the tension. The other hosts found themselves in a delicate position. They disagreed with Whoopi, but also had to navigate their daily working relationships with her. Sarah Haynes and Sunny Host voiced their criticism more directly while Joy Behar tried to mediate, ultimately siding with Chaka Khan. The episode highlighted a crucial lesson: accomplishment. Age or legacy does not make someone dismissible. Shaka's decades of groundbreaking work speak for themselves. She doesn't need to prove her worth to a talk show host. When Whoopi questioned her relevance was more than just a tough question. It was an insinuation that artists have an expiration date, that passion and creativity have a shelf life. Shaka's career proved otherwise. Throughout the confrontation, Shaka never yelled, never insulted, never lost her composure. She simply stated the facts and stood her grounded display of extraordinary self-control and maturity. The audience's reaction was immediate and telling. They overwhelmingly sided with Shaka, recognizing the unfairness and applauding her strength and dignity. Her final words before leaving resonated far beyond the studio. A reminder to anyone watching: young artists, older artists, anyone who has been dismissed or belittled, that self-worth cannot be dictated by others. That disrespect is never acceptable. Walking off the set was a statement, not a tantrum. I will not participate in this. I will not give my energy or time to this. I deserve better and I will demand it, she said through her actions. In a culture that often teaches us to tolerate poor treatment, Shaka showed that sometimes the most powerful choice is to walk away. The transformation of the episode from a routine interview to one of daytime TV's most uncomfortable moments underscored the difference between asking tough questions and being cruel. Chaka knew her value, recognized her achievements, and refused to accept anything less than respect. The audience saw it. The co-hosts saw it. And millions watching at home saw it too. The moment she removed her microphone and placed it on the table was symbolic. I am done here. You do not get to use my voice while disrespecting me. Her final words about self-worth were simple yet profound. Born of decades of experience, resonating with anyone who has ever felt undervalued. This incident demonstrated that standing up for yourself matters, that there are consequences to mistreating others, even from a position of power, that audiences can see through excuses. And sometimes the strongest response is to walk away with dignity intact. Chaka Khan proved that day she is more than a musical legend. She is a woman who will not compromise her self-respect. She reminded everyone watching that mistreatment should never be tolerated and showed what true strength looks like. Calm, clear, and unwavering. The Queen of Funk left the studio with her crown firmly in place, confident, proud, and backed by millions who understood her worth. She had sent a message about dignity, respect, and self-value that would echo far beyond that set.